So I'd like to introduce, for anybody who doesn't know her, Alison Marchant, who Alison is well, I think we're both transitioning into becoming late career artists, but Alison is an international installation artist and she also works part-time as our club's program leader and as such is runs the art club and has done, yeah, virtually all of the curating for this exhibition. Later, we're also going to meet Becky from Art for Fun. We've got contributions in the exhibition from the Together Art Club, Art for Fun, Enough, which I think stands for the Independent Newham Users Forum. Is that right, Alison?
Yeah.
And also we have contributions from people who are just associated with Together or associated with Newham, because the exhibition is really for open to anybody who either has some kind of connection with Newham. You might have grown up in Newham, studied in Newham, worked in Newham, still do, or you might have nothing to do with Newham but still take part in Together 2012 activities. And the open exhibition is open to everybody in that group to self-select one piece of work, and we guarantee to exhibit it. And as far as I know, this is our 15th exhibition, and I think we're still unique in open exhibitions. Usually it's called an open exhibition because anybody can enter, but you have to pay to enter, and then somebody is going to make a decision about whether to accept your work or not. In our exhibition, you select your work, we guarantee to show it, and no money changes hands. So it's just such a wonderful mixture of work by anybody who likes to think of themselves as any kind of artist. Glory, I'm going to pop you on mute because we've started. But and yeah, just to say to people, I think from a sound point of view, if you can stay on mute, then the sound is probably going to be better for everybody. Alison, would you like to just say a few words about the curating?
Well, it was quite straightforward, really. So I sent out an email to people and, they just replied. And I was working with Enough and also Art for Fun, those two groups. So they've produced the bulk of the work and the Together art clubs.
And you've done quite a lot of work, but not just recently, helping people to document their work and create a digital image of their work. And I think, yes, I think you're kind of not quite admitting quite how much work you've done around the exhibition, but that includes supporting a lot of people to create digital images, doesn't it?
That's right, with our Film and Photographers Club.
And I always one of the things I really enjoy about hanging this exhibition is that it's so different to when we had the exhibition in venues, in that there's no frames.
Mm.
And it what I found when we used to do hangs in venues is you have to look at the frame. You can't just look at the color and the subject and the theme, which is what I'm able to do here. You've also got to go, well, are the black frames going to go together? Are the silver frames going to go together? Are the gold frames go together? Because otherwise the can be really distracting. So it's so good to be able to go to the pure image. And I think also what I've really enjoyed about making the exhibition digital is that you can see it much closer up. You know, as a wheelchair user in exhibitions, I'm so used to you either can't see anything or you've got, you sort of will, if you're lucky, to be able to get close. But what I love about the digital stuff is you can just click on it, zoom in and see details that I think we can see details here that we couldn't see in the original painting, for example. So I think that on balance makes it just as valid as an exhibition space. But what I think we should do next is start. Well, I'm just looking at the chat. Yes, so Glory's saying hello. So hello, Glory, and let's, without further ado, start looking at the show. So, for anybody who hasn't seen it before, this is what the exhibition looks like online. I know some of you have seen, you've sent your work in, but you haven't necessarily seen it yet. Everything we do really kind of echoes what we did in venues. So, this would have been our notice. at the entrance to the venue. And it just explains that the exhibition takes place every July to celebrate Disability Pride Month, that Alison and the Together 2012 team has curated it. And it brings together work by amateur, community, student, semi-professional and professional disabled artists of all age. And and as I explained just now, it's about having a connection with Newham or having a connection with Together. So our very first image actually comes from Alison Marchant. And it's unusual for me to sorry, just getting my audio description up. Yeah, it's unusual for me to put one of the team members first, but it just begged to be there. And I think for me it was partly because you have all of this white background and greys, and then you've got the whites here, and it just begins to start coming out of the screen, holding that promise of more colours and shapes to come, but it's so dynamic in its own right. The audio description, to which I have to thank Kate Rollison, says it's a photograph of a fine white petticoat hanging from two wooden pegs by its straps against a white wall. The petticoat is blowing in a breeze, and it's named from the Petticoat series, Digital Film Still 2026. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about it, Alison?
Yeah, it's my mother's petticoat, and it was made by my aunt who was visually impaired. And it's made so perfectly. So as an object, it's really interesting. Um, and I think it was with one of the workshops, Jude, the dance on screen workshop, where you talked about movement, and we were coming up with ideas of a project where we filmed movement. So I just set up a washing line in my back garden. So the wall behind, the white wall, is actually the end of my house. And I really wanted this white on white, completely minimal background to show off the petticoat. And then if the petticoat is caught in the wind and the film is all slow motion. So this image was just a still of it twisting.
And I love the way it's twisted, and it has got so much movement in it. And I think it's also really interesting to show how we can take our work and make it, make 2D work from 3D work and all sorts of things. It's lovely to see something different. So following on from that, this is an image by Celia Wilson called The Foxes Come Running, which is pencil on paper, also 2026. And it's an energetic drawing of three foxes running past a tree in the foreground and a castle in the background in dark pencil on white paper. And again, the grey is much darker in this image, but one of the reasons I hung them next to each other was the fact that they were predominantly white. And there's so much movement in this as well. And I think it just reminds us that you don't need incredibly expensive art materials. If you've got a piece of paper and you've got a pencil, yes, get on with it. Um, This is from Mohammed, and I'm not sure whether this is enough or arts for fun. It's not titled, it's pencil and paint on paper, and it's a drawing of a purple fantasy creature with the body of a mammal and the head and beak of a bird next to a turquoise tree. It's created in pencil and pastels, and there's many almond shapes, almost like leaves, they could be leaves in pink, blue, and white, curving around the creature and the tree and creating an optical illusion. So it's a much more complicated picture than it looks immediately. And again, it's got so much movement. You can see the wind blowing through in the way that you could see the wind on Alison's petticoat. And then this is something, again, it's about this, I think, is more about taking the sort of mark making on paper with sort of stronger colours again. It's Marie Powell, it's called The Dunes, and it's yellow and brown felt tip lines curve and undulate across the page diagonally, with the white paper showing in between the lines. This to me had got all sorts of other kind of art references, even a bit of Bridget Riley. Alison, what did you think?
Yeah, definitely. Because again, it's got that kind of optical illusion. The sort of waves of the sand dunes seem to come out of the paper as well.
Yes, it's a very 3D picture, isn't it? But
Yeah,
again, it's all you need is a packet. Well, obviously you need talent and hard work, but you don't need expensive materials or a studio to create it in. I think this looks to me like just over A4, 29.5 by 24 centimeters. And now for something completely different. This is Charlotte Lindsay's picture of Jen's dog Rafferty. Again, it's only A4. You'd think it was bigger. And it's soft pastels on sugar paper. And it's a loosely sketched three-quarter portrait of a dog with reddish fur, as I said, in soft pastels. And as somebody with a dog, I really like this.
it's really well drawn as well. And I like the way the sort of neck seems to disappear into the flatness of the paper at the bottom. I quite like that touch.
Yes, I mean, I don't know Charlotte, but I know dog portraits can be very, very popular, and it's sort of it can be one of the kind of it's not easy to make a living as an artist, but if you can do good pet portraits, that is a brilliant start. So Charlotte might want to think about that if she's not doing it already. And here's another more traditional picture, which is Julia Baines' Flower in Jam Jar, and it's oil on board. It's only 15 centimeters, so it's about half the size of a piece of A4. It looks bigger, doesn't it? And I
Yeah,
think again, it really sort of shows to me what you can do at home. You don't need to have huge amounts of space. And indeed, the great thing about it being digital is you can make it bigger than how it was painted. It's an oil painting of a white flower in a jam jar against a vibrant deep blue background. I really love the blues, Alison. What do you think?
yeah, I like the composition as well, where the jar is very slightly going over to the left, so it fits this flower in perfectly. And oil paints are notoriously hard to handle, so she's done really well.
Yeah, I mean, I really like here where you've got the water and the blue, and I think it's very, very skillful. And I also like the way the flower's almost bursting out of the picture at the side.
Yeah.
Because she could have chosen to make it smaller, it's a very deliberate design choice. And then this is Tracy Vidal, and it's Neptune's daughter, mixed media on card and laminated card. And again, it's quite a small piece. I don't have an audio description on. I do. I mean, it's got an out tag in it, but because it came late, I don't have it on my list here. Um, but it's a it's a woman rowing effectively, isn't it, Alison? I mean, you know more about Tracy's
Well,
work.
it's actually a mermaid, but
Oh,
Tracy,
of course.
yeah, like Tracy's drawings are always very flat, almost like this one almost looks like a cartoon. And she uses felt pen or acrylic paint. So this one actually looks like felt pen to me.
And I
But it's
think
got mixed media.
you knew her when she was at art school, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. She went to East Ham Community College and did her foundation there. And then she did her BA at Wolverhampton.
I mean, I was so pleased to see her work again because I don't think we've seen her for a while. Now, this is the first picture from Art for Fun, and I think if we just pop a spotlight on Becky so Becky can talk to us, it's Romana, and it's an impressionistic watercolor painting of a sea arch hollowed out from rock with deep turquoise waves lapping against it and a deep blue sky. Becky, is there anything you can tell us about this?
I think this was made during one of our free workshops, and I think one of the reasons it stands out is it's got the sea's very vibrant, but it feels like there's this storm coming in, but it manages to also be peaceful at the same time. It's got these mixture of tones that sort of work, although they should clash.
Yeah, I mean that's so interesting because it's again it's like so many of these pictures they look quite simple and then you realize they're actually very, very complex. I wonder if it's I think I could have this completely wrong, but there's a place on the Jurassic Coast, Durdle Door, I think it's called, where you've got this rock arch. I don't think it's a unique rock arch, but it could be that this is from the coast. And then, so if we keep Becky with us as well, so then this is Pippa Marshall from the Together Art Club, and it's still life in green, and it's pencil and gouache on paper. It's A3. It's a still life pencil and gouache drawing in teal green. I love the colour of a teacup, a spoon, and a small potted plant. And I really put it here because of the links between the colours of the one above and this one. Alison has some. Well, indeed. Shall we just put very quickly bring in Pippa?
Yeah.
If that's okay, Pippa, you're welcome to say no, but pop your camera on if you'd like to say something.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to say something. I really enjoyed creating this piece. I think it's the first time that I've worked just in one color. Definitely the first time that I've just painted something all in green like this. And I just loved the process of doing that because it was much more spontaneous. So thank you.
Oh, thanks, Pippa. That was really helpful. So again, I think that's almost inspiring me to think I should go out and sit down with just one color and a brush
Mm.
and just see what happens. So this I think is another art for fun. It's Olu. Anyway, it's a bright impressionistic painting of rolling fields leading to a building. The painting is predominantly green with features of blue, yellow, brown, and purple. Becky, do you recognize this or
Yeah, this is an art for fun one. Um, and it was done with watercolor. I think it was either watercolor or acrylic. And I just love how vibrant it is. And like the little shades of purple pop out because of the use of the green and the yellow.
Yes, I mean, I think you can see all sorts of things in it, but to me, it's the sort of rolling landscape, and you've got the. I love the way the kind of land goes up and down, and that could be a road. It probably isn't, but it's just very, very. These could be trees. That might be a house. I'm not sure. You could see it in all sorts of different ways, but it's just got again, it's got so much movement in it. And one of the things that I think these exhibitions really show us is things can be 2D but still have so much movement and so much going on.
Mm.
And then I think this is another one, isn't it? So this is Sabina mixed media, and it's a painting of a grid pattern against a colourful background made up of loose squares and rectangles. The colours orange, green, deep blue, yellow, red, and white blend into each other. I think in my head I see it like a fire, but I'm not sure that's what it's supposed to be at all.
I love the way the brush or the stick has been scraped along the paint and what that does to it.
Yes, is this another one, Becky, from Art for Fun?
Yes, I think it is, and I like the different textures and different patterns. How they're all it sort of blends, but then it sort of contrasts at the same time.
Yes, I don't know how they did it. I think Alison's right about the stick, but I love the way it's if we look as an example about how we can
Mm.
perfect example of how you can see things closer up. But yeah, it's the way the colours have all got really picked up, haven't they? And just dragged around and yeah, I think it's amazing. And then this is another bright art for fun, which is Brian, and it's untitled. It's two drawings of the same subject in black pen of a ruffled rose with two leaves either side of it. The drawing on the left is looser and zoomed in, so it takes up the whole page, and the perspective of the drawing on the right is from further away. and more delicate. So it really kind of, I'm losing the vocabulary for what is it, a diptych if it's two, Alison?
I think that's I think you're right. Yeah, a triptych is free, isn't it? So
It's but it's very interesting. And again, it doesn't need, it's just paper and pen. You don't have to sort of sit there and think, oh, I wish I could afford to go and buy some paints because then I would do some art. Did you want to add anything about this, Becky?
Yeah, I think that was kind of the point of the workshop for this painting, because not painting, drawing, because we was looking at Alex cats and flowers, and just trying to be more fine with messing up the supplies and with colour or with drawing. So that was kind of the point of the work, really.
Yeah, and I think it worked, and I think we've got some more coming up. So this is Leo. Again, it's untitled, but it's a painting of terracotta flower pots on a blue window ledge, which curves upwards to the left, and through the window is a wooded hill. I think the perspective on this is just so interesting. Again, let's just see this one in all its full glory. It's just really, yeah, I just think it's absolutely fascinating. And I love the way the pinks have come into this, it sort of starts off almost naturalistic, but by the time you get to the earth pink, it's become something completely different. And it's a real kind of classic view through the window picture as well, isn't it?
hmm. Yeah, it's unusual the way the windowsill goes up at one side and how the pots have stayed there without falling down.
Yeah, well, it almost reminds me of Picasso, where you've got different angles of the picture kind
Yeah.
of put together in a way that obviously isn't naturalistic, but you still kind of know where they're coming from. Is there anything else you can tell us about this, Becky?
No, I think that's about it.
Well, again, it's those that, but what I keep saying, something that looks quite simple is so complex. So this is Anne Marie, and it's a pencil drawing of two blue hands with red fingernails surrounded by red flowers. Can you tell us anything about it, Becky?
I think this was done primarily with pencil. I'm not sure what workshop it was from, but I just love how it's a very simple use of colours. I think there's three at maximum, and it just contrasts so lovely with the blank paper.
Mm.
Yes, and I like the way the fingernails are painted red and it's the same colour as the flowers. But then you've got the hands are blue, which is obviously a very deliberate choice. They could have used the brown on the hands, for example. So I don't know whether that was somebody feeling cold or, you know, whether it just looks good, but it's taking something really straightforward and interesting and making it so much more interesting.
Mm.
Mm.
Did you want to add anything, Alice?
Well, I just think what's really curious is the flowers look like they're on little tripods.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, I mean, I think they've just got the leaves, a couple of leaves left at the bottom. But
Yeah,
yeah, to me, it's like the flowers could start walking towards you, couldn't they?
yeah.
Really, it's like all of these images. The more you look at it, the more you can see, which I think is the mark of any good art. So this is by June, and again, it's untitled. It's a painting of a dark green checkerboard pattern with a red tulip and butterfly painted over the pattern in the bottom left-hand corner, with smaller flowers besides them. The painting has torn edges and is placed on top of a larger sheet of white paper with dashed lines guiding to the corners. Um, was this another one from the flower workshop, Becky?
I think so, yes. But I guess what I like about it is the checkered pattern is not just one colour. So you see some greens in the corner, and then there's some white. The checkered pattern doesn't exactly stay one colour. It's not a consistent colour. It fades in and out, and I find that really interesting. And there's different textures as well.
Yeah, I think I mean, you've got some great artists in Art for Fun in a way that the title is completely wrong because this is really, what you guys are producing is really serious art. And absolutely, I love the way it's kind of painted here. Then you've got the
Mm.
extra bits of pencil here and the butterfly feeding off the flower. It's still got the grass in at the bottom. So it's like, is this a wall? I don't know. And this putting it on and having the corners just gives it another dimension again. What do you think, Alison?
Yeah, because those little dashes at the corners make it look like a box, as if like it again, if it's a window, you know.
Yeah, I just think it's such an interesting piece. Now this is another one, a sort of more, I think I wouldn't actually call it a more conventional, but perhaps more conventional approach, which is Georgina's, and it's a large drawing of a daisy filling most of the page with a painted red background. Alison, did you want to say?
Yeah, I it's actually one of my favorite pieces. Um, it's kind of I like the background, the red background, and the contrast with the yellow, and then you've got the space where you see the paper, the petals just like the paper.
It's
I
like a
think that
book
works really
yeah,
well.
it's like a book illustration, and I like the way that the background has got a lot of movement going on
Yeah,
as well. I mean, what did you have anything to add to that, Becky?
I'm in agreement with Alison there. I think the background, in a way, it contrast just works magnificently, actually.
And was it another of the flower workshop pictures?
Yes, I think so.
Must have been an amazing workshop.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think so many of these could really be prints, couldn't they? Now, this is Hummer Butt from our very own art club. I know Hummer's with us tonight, and it's called A Happy Doll. It's a felt tip drawing of a doll dressed in red tartan clothes, inside one of a pair of black shoes, resting against a bright blue back handbag, and the background is grey pencil. Was this one of the still lifes that you did, Alison?
yeah. I got the little doll from a second-hand shop. It's really sweet. But Huma's here, isn't she? I don't know if Huma would like to say anything.
I haven't talked to him about that in the past.
Yeah.
I think we'll just keep it to us. But
Okay. Yeah, because
I,
I mean, Huma uses felt pens a lot, and they're quite difficult to work with. She actually just draws out with felt pen the outline,
oh
without
yes,
rubbing anything out, just like in one go.
I
Um,
think the pencil is so interesting as well. And this white where you've just got the complete white bits really stands out, doesn't it? But
yeah,
the doll has got a whole life of its own. It's more like a little person that's about to go off and do things. And I don't know. I'm sure. One of the things I really like about it is I think it's very I'm sure it's been very transformed from the original image, and
mm,
it's Hutmer's very unique take on it. But
totally, yeah,
it's another one that's like a book illustration, and you think, what's the doll going to do? Is the doll traveling because you've got the whole story, haven't you? Is the doll going to hop in the bag and be carried off when the owners put their shoes back on? Has it just come back?
yeah,
Is it going to get lost? And here's some more shoes. So this is Lee Brooker, also from the Together Art Club. It's a pencil drawing of a pink pair of children's shoes with a design of flowers and an animal's face, although I can't see the animal's face on the toes. And that was one of your still lifes, wasn't it?
yeah. I mean, these markings across the front that are on the actual shoe were a bit strange. Like they had these eyelash shapes sewn in, and lots of bits and pieces like sewn onto the shoe. So you've got the little flowers, and he's captured all that really well.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's great to see Lee because his drawing is always excellent. But
Yeah,
they look like very complicated shoes. And this is Shuheb Mia Picture You, which again is felt. It's a felt tip drawing of black circles and pink squares with a red curved boundary between them. Is this enough, Alison? Does Shuheb Mia come
Oh,
from
I think it must be actually.
I love the way that he's done something so simple. It's like was Becky was saying about a previous piece, you've got just two colours.
mm,
They've divided the paper and then yes, and it's very evocative. I like the way it's a bit more loose here as well. These are a bit more
yeah,
together and these are a bit more loose, and these all seem to be going one way and these seem to be going another. And again, it just shows what you can do with something that's very simple and almost doodling.
yeah.
And this is by Alia Alamoudi, and it's called Ballerina. It's a digital collage of a woman with pink and purple butterfly wings and a pale pink dress with a floral pattern around the skirt. And the woman has light toned skin and bright red hair, and the background is a swirling gradient of turquoise and yellow with a dark vignette. And I think this is at least the second year that Alia, who's a young artist, has sent us in a digital collage. And it's so nice to see what people are doing with digital tools on their iPad as well, because it's not always possible to be picking up pencils and paints and so on. And it just shows that there are other ways to create art as well. Did you want to say anything about this, Alison?
I mean, it would make a really good light box work, I think. But the beauty of the computer is it already is, you know.
Yes, that's right, isn't it? But yes, it's very, very luminous. And then I think I put this here because again, it sort of links with the wings. So this is Tracy Surgener, Butterfly in Beads, Beads and Wire. And it's a photograph of a beaded circle of wire with a beaded white, red, orange, and lime green butterfly in the centre. And the wire is stuck to a window looking out over the garden. And I like the way that although it's an artificial butterfly, it's still got this background of exactly where it could, that's exactly where it would be flying around if it was a real butterfly.
Yeah,
And very beautifully done as well, because, if you look at the beading, I mean, I think it's clearer here because you can see that the background's much more blurred, but that beading's very, very careful. But at the same point, it's not a kind of losing my words again, but it's not balanced. It's asymmetrical, and I think that's one of the things that really gives it life.
yeah. And that little bit in the center was really interesting, where you get that really bright.
Yes, and I think everything gets drawn into this green, doesn't
Yeah,
it? So really interesting is the way it's been photographed. And now we've got another sort of insect with wings, but this is Eve Smith Spring, and it's a collage so that you have the collage is in felt tip and tissue paper, and you've got a bee with a joyful smile and its eyes closed, stretching out its wings. And it's surrounded by colourful flowers and butterflies against green grass, with orange tissue paper triangles below and a blue tissue paper sky above. I mean, again, Eve is another one of our young artists. Alison, did you want to add anything?
I'm sort of, there's a really curious little thing stuck down here. I don't know what they are. Oh, little pieces of rolled up sticky tape or tissue or
Yeah,
something.
tissues are made that, and I think that's the pollen that the bee's coming after.
Oh God, that's really good, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you've got butterflies going for the pollen as well.
Yeah.
And as if by magic, this is Julie Newman's buff-tailed bumblebee on chive flower, and it's a close-up detailed photograph of a bumblebee on a purple chive flower. Um,
I mean, the wings are really amazing, aren't they?
They really are. I mean, this kind of photograph I know all too well is very, very hard to take.
Yeah.
Although I think it is actually an iPhone image. But yes, I've never really understood before looking at this picture the shapes within the wings.
Yeah,
But it works again, from a curating point of view, it just works really well going from Eve's bumblebee to
yeah,
this bumblebee. And then this is Ruby's, which is a felt tip colourful drawing of flowers with multicoloured petals in pinks, blues, yellow, green, purple, and brown. And I think this is another Art for Fun one, is it, Becky?
Yes, it is.
Because I really love the pattern that and the different, she's chosen, so most people would do one colour centre and one colour petals, and all of them are different. And I think it starts making it like more like a print. And then I don't know whether these are insects coming to feed off the flowers. What do you think, Becky?
I think some of them are stems. And then I think some of them might
Oh
be
yes, of
little
course.
bees or insects.
Yes, it's just a really interesting piece, and I love the colours. And then here's another one, Rosmina, which is a painting incorporating printmaking, we think, of four birds above orange flowers and a wavy body of water with green branches with red flowers or berries hanging down from the top left-hand corner. It's a beautiful piece. How was this one made, Becky? Was it the same workshop or a different one?
I think this was a different workshop. I think some of it was printmaking, and I think some of it might have been done with felt tip. I think the birds are felt tip, definitely. Um, but I just like the flowers, and how they're all different shapes and they're not all one uniform size or whatnot. And it just stands out with the birds.
And I think this is water rather than land, but because it's got green, it's a bit difficult. But I think this, which is a different sort of technique again, also really helps to make it. And I think lots of people wouldn't have put this in, but I think it's such an important part of the composition. So then this is Sumaya Sultana like Kandinsky. It's drawing and collage on A4. And it's a bright drawing in coloured pencil of intersecting geometric shapes with white wavy lines on the left and black wavy lines on the right. And this is one of the artists from Enough, isn't it, Alison?
yeah, that's right.
What? And yeah, they obviously were looking at Kandinsky, but I really like it, and I particularly like the way that, let me just click it up here. So this is drawn on, but it looks to me
Yeah.
like this is glued on.
Oh, yeah. Because originally, before we did the close up, I just thought that was the background.
Well, that's the great thing about being able to click on it. But it's very, very clever the way they've got the dark and the light and the different shades
Yeah.
and the different colors. I really, really like it.
And covered the whole page like really densely, which,
Yes, although it's difficult to know, sometimes it's cropped, isn't it? But
yeah,
anyway, and this is Dawn Barber, and Dawn is a member of both Enough and the Together Art Club. It's Illumination of Colour, felt pen on paper, and it's a bright drawing in felt tip of interlocking shapes and patterns. And I really put these two together because there's so many sort of similarities with color, but they're actually very, very different as well. And this is so complex, isn't it? Did you want to say anything about it, Alison?
yeah. I mean, I think with both of them, you've got this kind of abstract thing with the colours moving back and forwards, like you're not sure which is the ground. Like if you focus on the yellow, that looks like the background, and then you can focus on the blue, and that precedes all that sort of stuff.
And Dawn's
Um,
been developing this style over at least 15 years. And I think, is really doing very, very well with it now.
and they work really well together next to each other, don't they?
They do. I mean, I think that, well, they're obviously trying to do very different things, but I mean, I love the way Dawn's able to create these different shapes, and it's almost like a giant doodle, but it's much, much more complicated. And like you
Yeah.
say, all the different things going on with the colours. And then this is Shahid, Untitled, and it's a coloured pencil drawing of a rectangle made up of brightly coloured triangles against a half orange, half red background. And I think this is another art for fun, isn't it, Rebecca?
Yeah, it is.
And
I just really like how the bit in the middle with the most colourful like triangles really commands your attention. It like demands your attention because it's just dead center on the page.
yes, there's something, I don't know. There's just, again, it's one of those things that starts off looking simple, and the longer you look at it, the more complicated you realize it is. And all these different pencil movements. Here you've got the pencils going in all sorts of different directions. You've got different colors coming in here. It really bears looking at for probably longer than we've got a chance to give it. So I will move on. This is Talia Cowan, Flower Seeds, marker pens on board. And it's two abstract drawings of flower seeds in marker pens, and the purples and pink drawing on the left is curving close up, and the blue flower seeds on the right are surrounded by pink wavy lines. I think this is an artist who comes from Enough. Is that right,
Oh,
Alison?
yeah, you're right. Um, because the one below, which looks similar, I think is from Art for Fun, but they work really well together.
They do, and again, there's so much movement in them. So the one below, we don't know who the artist is, but it's a drawing of striped teardrop shapes in blue, yellow, green, and purple. And the shapes lie on top of each other and fill the page. So I'm going to speed up a little bit. This is Jermaine Logan, who's another Enough artist. It's Star Rocket in soft pastel. And it's a drawing of a blue, green, orange, and yellow rocket in flight, surrounded by red and blue stars. And you've also got the
Got
sun here.
that little moon in the distance.
Oh, it's the moon, yes.
Like it's really faint as well. This picture was quite hard to photograph because it's quite delicate, really.
It really is. And again, I absolutely love it. The sort of rocket sort of sitting there in the desert at night. I mean, I started off thinking that was the sun, but of course those are the stars. So
Yeah.
and it is Star Rocket, so that should have given me a clue. Now we start on the collages. This is Renee Wallen's Homage to Layla. There's a wonderful story about this, which I think, yes, I won't, as I haven't asked her in advance, I won't ask Renee to hop on and do now.
I don't mind if you'd like me to quickly say.
Go on, you can do it quicker than I can.
Thank you. So there's a famous American singer, musician called Eric Clapton, and he wrote a song called Layla that he dedicated to his girlfriend, who actually was not called Layla. But he was in a hotel in France and he saw a painting that he thought looked like her. So he was given it as a gift, and it became the album cover, the artwork that went with the record. And it went up for sale last year, and a friend of mine hoped to buy it, but it was sold for £2 million, would you believe? So he asked me to paint a version of it. So the background of this image is kind of copied from the original artwork, but I've used collage for the first time to make it look different. And I gave it to my friend and he paid me £1.
Thank you, Renee. So yes, and the long version is equally fascinating, but all of these are worth coming back to. This is a collage from Debbie. I think these are all coming up now as art for fun. And this is a collage featuring David Attenborough's face with a butterfly over his nose, and surrounding his face are a floral wallpaper-like pattern, animals and objects from the natural world, and surreal artworks. I just think it's wonderful. I'm sure he'd love to see it. Is there anything you wanted to add, Becky?
No, I think you've said all that's needed to be said, really. It's a really lovely collage.
And did you do, because there's pop-up. So yes, this is another art for fun collage. And it's a collage of coloured paper, illustrations and photographs depicting the natural world through flowers, a colourful bird and a watermelon. Unfortunately, we don't know who made it, but it's absolutely beautiful. But you've got the butterflies and the natural world. So I'm wondering, within the collage workshop, did did you have lots of things to cut out or different ideas? They're so beautiful.
With the collage one, we didn't really have a prompt for that because it was more using up supplies or artwork that hadn't been taken home and just seeing what you could create with it. So there's a wide variety when you look at our collage pieces of different inspiration points, different uses of colour, and as you can see, those are the really brilliant results.
They absolutely are. So this is from Rahana, which is a collage in green tissue and coloured paper and orange marbled paper and textured paper of a face.
Love the eyelashes.
Yes, I love the eyelashes. This one is actually a collage from Enough. It's Matt Russell and it's Transformer Deception Soundware. And it's a collage of a Transformer robot in blue, grey, brown, yellow, and red cardboard on and tissue paper. And then this, I think, is another art for fun. This is Sean, and it's a collage of an abstract face in strips of blue, yellow, and grey textured card and paper. Then this is a really interesting one because it's a photograph of a collage in process, really. But it's a collage of an abstract face in strips of blue, yellow, and grey textured card and paper. And I like the way you can see the pencil and you can see
Yeah,
the workings and the cutout. It's a real kind of artist piece, isn't it?
yeah.
Now, this is another collage from Enough. It's Dwayne Bryan, who's also a Together artist. It's Candles in the Palace, which I think is a lovely title. I'd love to know more about it. And really, it's a drawing with collage elements of geometric candles in green, orange, gold, and yellow, with a potted plant, flower, turtle, and snake in place of the candle flames. So if you see there, you would think that that these are candles that they've got the flames, but as we see, you've got all these different things at the top of the flames instead, which is so interesting.
Yeah.
And then this is another art for fun, Georgie. And one of the things I love about this is it expands across the page. You know, it bursts out of the page. The page is too small to contain it. And it's a vibrant collage of a yellow face with red features, with leaf-shaped orange marbled paper hair and green plants and a butterfly on transparent paper laid over the cheeks and chin. And then this one is by our very own Marcy Rick, who is pressing buttons in the background. And it's called Mosaic in Nature. And it's a photograph of a colourful abstract mosaic made from smashed pottery that's nestled into the grass. And you quite often see this kind of mosaic outside. But I like the way that it's being reclaimed by nature, but also coming through, you know, it's determined to show itself. So I think that's really interesting. And then this one, we don't know who made it and we don't know what it's called, but it's a wonderful piece by another Art for Fun artist. It's an artwork of leaves and flowers alongside their natural dyes and prints in green, orange, yellow, red, and purple. Do you know how they made this, Becky? Was it stuck on?
I believe it was stuck on or pressed on. I think this is from one of our Tuesday workshops, which I wouldn't have been there for. But I think they've used actual flowers in this.
Yes, they do. I mean, and again, I think pressing flowers and actually using them directly in artwork, or not even pressing them and drying them first, is a really interesting thing to do. And it's not something we've ever thought about doing it together, but perhaps we should. Now, this one, I don't know. I suppose it's time. So this is Zilla Bosworth Coleman, and Zilla is an artist with Together and a member of our professional development club. And it's sustainable self performance documentation, photograph on aluminium. And it's two photographs. The first, a close up in saturated colours of a bundle of twigs, burlap sack, soil, and plants. And the second, a desaturated photograph, the lower half of a woman's body. And the woman is holding fabric and standing in front of undergrowth. So it's a very, very interesting piece. And again, I think documentation is so important. Our very own chair, who's listening tonight, Julie Newman, is a passionate documenter. And Julie's point has always been that when we see just art on a wall or we see a play taking place on a stage, we don't really understand how it happened. And if you document the process, it becomes much, much clearer. And then we think, well, we can do that because we understand how it's happened. Whereas if you just see this final object or this final performance, you don't really understand, if you're not an artist or an actor, how it's come about, and you don't see any way that you could do it. So I think that, being able to take your artwork and document it and turn the documentation into artwork, I think is always important. Yeah. We don't have time to bring any more of the artists in, I'm afraid. So this is Robin Surgener's, and it's my first attempt about me. It's an original drawing, A2 pencil sketch on white, and it's a self-portrait of the artist drawn on the side of a banjo or round guitar. And the body of the instrument is intersected with triangles of gold with braille, text, and a bear design on them. So that all becomes much clearer when you look at it close up. And again, I know Robin's here and I would love to invite you to say something, but unfortunately we don't have time. But yes, I believe when it says my first attempt about me, this is actually Robin's first attempt at a self-portrait. So, and I think it's great, but I would encourage everybody to think about, because it's not just about, you don't just have to look in a mirror and draw yourself. There's so many other ways that we can represent ourselves. And then finally, and I am going to ask Kate, who's been working very hard behind the scenes, if she would mind popping her camera on and just telling us about this.
So this embroidery I adapted from a Massive Attack song, where the first line is love is a verb, and I went for hope as a verb. And at the time I wrote a little bit about what sort of inspired it. So I've said, what gives me hope is the good in people that motivates them to build community and collective care and be actively kind and give people the benefit of the doubt, very much including people who are not like them.
And I think that's such an important message. And it's on a doily. Where did you get the doily from?
I pick them up in charity shops and off eBay and sort of big job lots of old doilies. Sadly, yeah, they can be quite unloved nowadays. But people have put so much work into doing the crochet around the edges. I've made them on sort of family heirlooms in the past, and yeah, get them from all sorts of places.
Again, I think it's so inspirational as well, because it's about saying, if we have our imagination, money's nice, but money can't buy creativity, and creativity doesn't need money. So I think that idea of being able to, create art on something like this, but to be able to go around the charity shops and find the raw material is really inspiring. So I'm going to stop the screen share there, because let me just take the spotlight off Kate. It's nearly 8 o'clock, but I just wanted to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank all of the artists, of course, for contributing, particularly Enough and Art for Fun. And Becky's switched her camera off already, but it's been great having Becky here. I think we'd all like to know more about Art for Fun. but the work coming from everybody, whether they're based in Newham or from further afield, has just been absolutely wonderful. When we started this in 2012, it was going to be a one-off exhibition for the Paralympics. So to be here for the 15th is an incredible privilege, and I've had that privilege of hanging all this work. I'd like to thank the Arts Council for funding it. I'd like to thank Chris Burrow for her interpretation. And of course, I'd like to thank Alison very much for curating it, and for all of the Together team who've also worked to curate and support us and to produce their own work. Is there anything else you'd like to say about it, Alison?
No, I just always enjoy the exhibitions and bringing them together. And yeah, there's some great work produced all round.
There really is, and I think it really shows when we say, well, who is an artist? Well, everybody in this show is an artist, and I think all of them can be very proud of the work that they're producing. So it just falls to me to say we have various things coming up over the summer. We have just started our Kitchen Carnival, which is our annual summer home-based carnival project with the UK's leading carnival artist, Clary Salandy. Those are on Wednesday afternoons from 2:30, just for an hour as usual. So if you're interested in joining in, let us know. On the 30th of June, which is a Thursday, we have a celebration of unity in diversity coming up to commemorate South Asian Heritage Month. So we'd really like to invite everybody to join us there as well. If you can book through Eventbrite, but with all of our events, if you'd like the link and you find Eventbrite a bit difficult or you've never heard of it, then just let us know and we'll be happy to pass on the link directly to anybody that we know. So thank you all so much again. Thank you to all of the wonderful artists who've contributed tonight. And as soon as I switch off, I do implore you, go and have a drink because it is very hot still. So stay safe. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.